Tiffany Henyard's political collapse, from rising star to crushing defeat. Once seen as a rising star in Illinois politics, Tiffany Henyard now finds herself at the center of a dramatic downfall. Legal troubles, accusations of illegal appointments, and a humiliating defeat in a crucial Democratic caucus have left her political career in shambles. Allegations of vote suppression and rule-bending have dominated headlines, further eroding her once unshakable influence. On a cold December evening, hundreds of people gathered outside the Homewood Flossmoor Park District Auditorium in Homewood, Illinois. The event, the first Thorn Township Democratic caucus in over 30 years, was a high-stakes political showdown. Inside, the atmosphere was charged as locals, political insiders, and onlookers waited to witness a defining moment in the township's history. At the center of it all stood Tiffany Henyard, the embattled mayor and township supervisor, whose career was on the line. Dressed in a striking pink pantsuit, she entered with confidence, exuding defiance. But as the night unfolded, cracks in her political armor began to show. Henyard, known for her dramatic flair, faced accusations of vote suppression and manipulating the caucus process. She claimed that State Senator Napoleon Harris, leader of the Thorn Township Democratic Committee, had rigged the event against her. According to Henyard, Harris blocked her supporters from participating while allowing only his allies to mentor new participants, effectively controlling the outcome. Despite her protests, the caucus proceeded, and her defeat was swift and crushing. In just 7 minutes, a unanimous vote stripped her of the party's nomination for township supervisor. The result was not only decisive but humiliating in its speed. Cheers erupted throughout the room, with some attendees even singing a farewell song as Henyard's fate was sealed. Shaken and visibly frustrated, she stormed out of the auditorium, vowing to take legal action against those involved. The night marked a stunning collapse for Henyard, whose once promising political ascent had now spiraled into a dramatic fall from grace. As the evening came to a close, it was evident that Henyard's political career was in jeopardy. Her caucus defeat was the culmination of mounting legal and political troubles, and the forces aligned against her appeared too formidable to overcome. With the once dominant mayor now out of the race, Thorn Township prepared for a new political chapter, one in which Tiffany Henyard was no longer at the center of power.
It's like, grassroots. It was organic when a lot of this things started at the township, where the people were,
The air was thick with excitement as nearly 600 people packed the auditorium for the long-awaited Thorn Township Democratic Caucus, an event that had not occurred in over 30 years. The atmosphere was electric, particularly among the supporters of Thorn Township Democratic Committee head and State Senator Napoleon Harris, who arrived early to claim seats, creating a palpable sense of unity and enthusiasm. However, the mood quickly shifted when Mayor Tiffany Henyard, the embattled and controversial leader of Dalton, entered the scene. Known for her typically composed demeanor, Henyard was visibly furious as she made her way into the room. Her frustration was heightened by the late arrival of her supporters, who were brought in by bus. Dressed in a striking pink suit, Henyard declared that her outfit symbolized resistance against what she claimed was an orchestrated effort to sabotage her campaign. The once excited room became charged with tension as Henyard accused event organizers of deliberately undermining her. She claimed that Harris's camp had systematically excluded her supporters and manipulated the process in his favor. Henyard pointed to last-minute rule changes and the absence of professional assessors as evidence of a rigged process. However, event organizers maintained that the caucus was being conducted according to the established rules, with attendees present long before Henyard's arrival. As tensions in the room escalated, the moment of reckoning arrived. The caucus proceeded despite Henyard's protests, and when the results were announced, Harris's camp emerged victorious. The crowd erupted in applause, celebrating the outcome with an energy that stood in stark contrast to Henyard's visible distress. In a symbolic act of rejection, spectators mockingly sang, "Na na na na, hey hey hey, goodbye," underscoring the dramatic shift in public sentiment against her. Henyard's defeat was a stark reality check. Her once promising political career was now in jeopardy. Once seen as a rising force in local politics, her tenure as Thorn Township supervisor had been marred by allegations of corruption, financial mismanagement, and an overbearing leadership style. As public scrutiny grew, her influence steadily declined. Under Henyard's leadership, township meetings were often chaotic, plagued by heated arguments and absentee trustees. Critics accused her of using public funds for personal luxuries, including extravagant dinners, lavish travel, and even an $85,000 performance that many viewed as a waste of taxpayer money. While the township's financial health deteriorated, Henyard seemed more focused on self-promotion than addressing pressing community issues. Her failure to provide transparency and accountability fueled further distrust. Investigations into her administration revealed troubling financial irregularities, including over $100,000 spent on travel and fine dining while essential community programs remained underfunded. One particularly glaring revelation was the misuse of township resources, including buses, to transport her supporters to the Democratic caucus, an act widely condemned as unethical. Rather than acknowledging her missteps, Henyard doubled down on claims that she was the victim of political sabotage. Billboards bearing slogans like "The People's Choice" and "Keeping My Promises" appeared across Dalton, but these messages rang hollow to residents frustrated by her governance. Instead of focusing on Dalton's financial struggles and deteriorating infrastructure, Henyard remained fixated on salvaging her image. By the time of the Democratic caucus, her political trajectory was already in decline. Her accusations that Harris had manipulated the process failed to gain traction, as many viewed her defeat as the inevitable consequence of her dwindling credibility. Harris, for his part, maintained that the caucus was conducted fairly and that Henyard's failure was a direct result of her poor leadership and declining popularity. Henyard's defeat was more than just a political loss, it was a public rejection of her leadership. Even her most loyal Democratic supporters had abandoned her, signaling that her time as a political force had come to an end. Despite this, she vowed to challenge the results in court, continuing to frame herself as a victim of political maneuvering. However, the reality was undeniable. Her political career, once filled with promise, was now in free fall. As the fallout continued, an FBI investigation into Henyard's financial dealings deepened public skepticism. Allegations of mismanagement and unethical expenditures, including an astonishing $43,000 spent on Amazon in a single day, only further tarnished her reputation. Legal experts speculated that she could face criminal charges, adding another layer of uncertainty to her future. The Thorn Township Democratic Committee, along with many former allies, publicly condemned her leadership, asserting that she had placed personal interests above community welfare. Even her remaining supporters began to waver, questioning whether she could ever recover from the mounting scandals. As the FBI probe loomed over her administration, Henyard made a last-ditch effort to consolidate power by issuing a 30-day provisional appointment. However, by this point, the damage to her reputation was irreversible. Her refusal to accept accountability, coupled with her insistence on portraying herself as a victim, only deepened public frustration. Dalton's residents, who had once placed their faith in her, now felt abandoned and betrayed. In a dramatic twist, some of Henyard's staunchest defenders began to distance themselves from her, acknowledging that her leadership had been ineffective. As one observer put it, "You can only blame others for so long. Eventually, you have to take responsibility for your actions." As the community watched the unraveling of Henyard's political career, many questioned whether Dalton's entrenched political dysfunction could ever be remedied. Would her fall serve as a wake-up call for future leaders, or was it merely another chapter in a cycle of mismanagement? The rise and fall of Tiffany Henyard serve as a stark reminder of the consequences of unchecked ambition, financial mismanagement, and a failure to prioritize the needs of the people. Her story is a cautionary tale about the fragility of political careers and the critical importance of integrity and accountability in leadership. Whether Henyard will attempt a political comeback remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: the consequences of her actions will linger, leaving a lasting impact on Thorn Township's political landscape.